Christmas Eve, 1945. A night of joy, celebration, and togetherness. But for the Sodder family of Fayetteville, West Virginia, this night would turn into an unimaginable nightmare. A fire consumed their home, leaving devastation in its wake. But when the flames were extinguished, a chilling question remained. Where were the bodies of the 5 Sodder children who had supposedly perished? No remains were ever found. Was this an accident? A tragic fire that erased all traces of the children? Or was it something far more sinister, a calculated abduction cloaked in the chaos of flames? Today, we unravel one of the most perplexing unsolved mysteries in American history, the disappearance of the Sodder children. The Sodders were a hard-working family of 12. George and Jenny Sodder, along with their 10 children, lived in a cozy 2-story timber home. The Sodders were well respected in their community, and George had built a successful business hauling coal. That Christmas Eve, the family gathered to celebrate. The younger children were thrilled with their gifts and stayed up late playing, while the older ones went to bed early. By midnight, most of the house was quiet, but shortly after 1 a.m., Jenny Sodder was startled awake by a loud noise on the roof, followed by what sounded like something rolling off. Moments later, the unmistakable scent of smoke filled the air. Frantic, Jenny woke George, and they discovered flames rapidly consuming the lower part of their home. They managed to gather 4 of their children and flee outside, but 5 of their children, Maurice, 14, Martha, 12, Louis, 9, Jenny, 8, and Betty, 5, were trapped upstairs. George and Jenny tried everything to save them. George broke a window to re-enter the house but was driven back by the intense heat and smoke. He went to retrieve a ladder to reach the 2nd floor, only to find it missing from its usual spot. Desperate, he attempted to start both of his trucks to drive them closer to the house and use them as an impromptu platform. Inexplicably, neither vehicle would start, even though they had been functioning perfectly earlier that day. As the flames consumed their home, the Sodders could do nothing but watch in horror. By dawn, the fire had burned itself out, leaving behind little more than ash and rubble. Firefighters, delayed due to a manpower shortage caused by the war, arrived hours too late to save the home or the children. But what came next defied explanation. As George and Jenny searched the ruins, they found no trace of their children. No bones, no teeth, no remains of any kind. The fire chief suggested the blaze had been hot enough to completely incinerate the bodies, but experts disputed this claim. For bones to turn to ash, the fire would have needed to burn at over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit for several hours. The Sodder fire lasted less than 45 minutes. This chilling fact planted a seed of doubt in George and Jenny's minds. Could their children have survived the fire? Or were they never in the house to begin with? As the Sodders began to piece together the events leading up to the fire, they uncovered a series of bizarre and suspicious details. 1. The cut phone line. Jenny had tried to call for help during the fire, but found the phone line dead. Initially, they assumed it had burned in the fire, but investigators later discovered the line had been deliberately cut. 2. The missing ladder. The family's ladder, which was always kept propped against the house, was later found tossed in a ditch about 75 feet away. 3. The disabled trucks. Both of George's trucks, which had been in perfect working condition earlier, refused to start that night. Was this a coincidence or sabotage? 4. The strange threats. In the months leading up to the fire, George, an outspoken critic of Italian dictator Benito Mussolini, had received ominous warnings. A stranger who visited their home to sell insurance reportedly told George, "Your house will go up in smoke, and your children will be destroyed." 5. Witness sightings. Even more puzzling were the reports of people who claimed to have seen the Sodder children alive after the fire. A woman operating a tourist stop said she served them breakfast the morning after the fire. Another witness at a hotel in Charleston, West Virginia, claimed she saw the children with 2 men and 2 women. These sightings suggested a horrifying possibility. The fire wasn't an accident. It was a cover-up for a calculated abduction. Unable to accept the official explanation, George and Jenny dedicated their lives to finding their children. They hired private investigators, consulted with forensic experts, and even wrote to the FBI, pleading for help. J. Edgar Hoover expressed interest in the case, but local authorities declined his involvement. In 1949, the Sodders arranged for an excavation of the fire site. Amid the ashes, they found a few fragments of human vertebrae. However, experts determined these bones did not belong to any of the missing children. They were from an adult. How did they get there? The family erected a billboard along Route 16 with photos of their missing children and a reward for information. It became a local landmark and a constant reminder of their tragedy. Over the years, numerous theories have emerged. Some believe the children were kidnapped by the mafia in retaliation for George's anti-Mussolini views. Others suggest the children were taken and sold into human trafficking, explaining the sightings of the children with strange adults. Skeptics argue the children likely perished in the fire, and the lack of remains can be attributed to poor recovery efforts or the chaos of the event. A more extreme theory posits that the Sodders' outspoken political views made them targets of a larger conspiracy. In 1968, Jenny Sodder received an envelope with no return address. Inside was a photograph of a young man, seemingly in his 20s, with a note scrawled on the back. Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie. Elil boys, a 90,132 or 35. The Sodders believed the man in the photo was their son, Louis, now grown. They hired a private detective to track down the sender, but he was never found. This photograph remains one of the most haunting pieces of evidence in the case. Was Louis alive? Or was it a cruel hoax? The mystery of the Sodder children remains unsolved to this day. George and Jenny passed away without ever learning the truth. Their surviving children continued the search, but have been met with the same dead-end ends. What happened that fateful Christmas Eve in 1945? Was it an accident, or was it a carefully orchestrated crime? The Sodder children's disappearance is more than just a mystery. It's a story of a family's unyielding love and determination. It's a reminder that even decades later, unanswered questions can haunt generations. What do you think happened? Were the Sodder children kidnapped, or did they tragically perish in the fire? Let us know your theories in the comments below. And if you found this video compelling, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into history's most haunting unsolved mysteries. Thank you for watching, and remember, no mystery stays cold as long as we keep asking questions.